for you to, most people who are buying from, let's say like a mama mboga, and I'm a person who have an hotel, I'll require a receipt from the mama mboga so that I can be able to claim when I'm doing my returns. So by us getting onboarded on eTIMS, no matter the nature of your business, because you may see that most people say that they haven't qualified for VAT, or rather they haven't qualified to pay taxes, but we encourage everyone in business to be onboarded on it, because most of if you're going ahead, most of the people who will be buying from you, they'll be requiring you to present them with an invoice so that they can pay you. For example, you're supplying to an hotel somewhere. The person, or rather the people in the business of the hotel industry, will require an invoice from you to enable them claim. So for your business continuity, you are required to be onboarded on eTIMS, no matter the nature of your business. Next slide. Which solution are available for eTIMS? We have 4 different solutions that are available for our taxpayers depending on the nature of your business. So one of the challenges we've been facing in regards to the solution, where we find that taxpayers come to our premises and they have heard that there's a solution where you don't need to have a machine. Let's say the online one, which I've said is purely for services. One of the challenges you're facing is that when you come to our offices and we are to install for you the software, most people don't tell the truth about the nature of your business, so that an appropriate software is installed for you depending on the nature of your business. So we have different solutions for different types of business. So the first solution is the eTIMS simplified solution. This is a very simplified solution for the small taxpayers who are using the individual PIN and they haven't registered for VAT. And the simplified solution, this is the EPO solution, or a solution whereby a taxpayer is required to log in into their eCitizen account and they're able to generate an invoice. So that's one of the solution we are offering in the simplified solution. And there's also a USSD one whereby a taxpayer is just required to dial *222# and they're able to generate an invoice. So this invoice, as I've said, is this, or rather this solution is made for those taxpayers who do not have the VAT obligation and preferably are using their individual PIN, which is an ePIN. The other solution we have is the e-client. The eTIMS client is a solution that is installed in the taxpayer's device. It may be your laptop, your phone, your desktop, or a PDA device. The eTIMS client solution is made for taxpayers who are dealing in both goods and services. So if in your business you're dealing with goods, or you're offering services, the eTIMS client solution will be suitable for you. Then we have the eTIMS online portal. The eTIMS online portal is made for taxpayers who deal in services. This is made for taxpayers who are purely in the service sector, whereby the solution is once it's approved for you, you can access it via any browser. So here is where we experience a challenge where there may be a taxpayer who is dealing in goods, but because they hear that the solution doesn't require a device, they'll say that their business is only dealing in services. And after the solution is installed for them, when they're using it, they'll see that the solution is not suitable for their device, making them now to come back again to our offices for an installation, which will waste a lot of your time. So we highly advise, or really advise the taxpayer, before you choose a solution that is installed for you, make sure you tell the officer the nature of your business so that the officer can advise you appropriately on which software should be installed for you. Then the fourth solution that we offer is the system-to-system integration. This solution is offered to those taxpayers who already have the system they're using for their invoicing. Let's say, for example, an hotel where you have your QuickBooks where you generate your receipts. So for the system-to-system integration, your systems that the system you'll be using will be integrated with the KRA system, so that when you're generating your invoice, the invoice will be transmitted to KRA. So those are the 4 solutions that we are offering currently. Can go to the next slide. Basically, these are the solutions I've told you about, where we have the eTIMS simplified solution. The simplified solution is made for purely the taxpayers who do not have the VAT obligation, whereby these taxpayers, maybe their business haven't qualified for the, or rather they haven't met the threshold for having the VAT obligation, or rather you're in business and you're using your individual PIN. So we advise you to use the people's solution or the simplified solution, whereby one of them you can access it via your eCitizen account. You log in with your credentials and you're able to generate an invoice and log back out. Then we have the eTIMS Lite, where we have the USSD, whereby you can use it with your smartphone or the Kabambe phone. You just dial *222#, then you select option 5. Then from there you can go on and register, and you're able to generate your invoices using the simplified solution. Next slide, please. Then we have the different devices that I've told you you can come with it to our offices and the software will be installed for you. The first one is a phone, whereby the software, the eTIMS client software, can be installed on your phone. And currently for you to have the software in your phone, you have to have a Bluetooth printer, which you'll be using to print the invoices. Then we have a laptop, whereby the eTIMS client solution can be installed on your laptop, and the laptop should be Windows 10 and above, and the desktop too should be Windows 10 and above, and for the phone is Android 8 and above. So these are some of the devices that you can use for the software to be installed. The other one is a tablet and the PDA devices. The PDA devices are they look like the old ETR, but they are run by Android. So you can also use it for the installation of the software. The four software we have talked about can be installed on either of the 5 devices that are displaying on the screen. You can go to the next. Now we have the online portal, which I've told you is accessible by any browser. Once you've done the sign up and your service request has been approved, the online portal is suitable for the taxpayers who are in service sector. If you don't deal in goods at all, you are advised to be onboarded on the eTIMS online portal, whereby after the service is approved, you can access our portal via any browser. Once you create your logins, you'll use the logins to log in, and you're able to generate an invoice. Then we have the system-to-system integration, where I've told you that the systems you're using to generate your invoices can be integrated with the KRA, and once you're generating any invoice, it will be transmitting to the organization. It's worth noting that for the integration of systems, where we have our third-party integrators who have been approved, and you can check on our website and you'll find all the approved integrators, and they'll be able to facilitate you for the integration of the system. So we'll take you through a very short process on how you can sign up for eTIMS. So for you to sign up for eTIMS, you can open any browser. It can be your Google. Then you enter eTIMS Taxpayers Portal. And once you enter that, it will open a page where you have to key in your PIN. The page, once you open the page, it will request you to sign up. Once you click on sign up, it will open a page where you have to enter your PIN. Once you enter your PIN, you'll verify, and when you verify, it will display your information as it is on iTax. Then you will confirm. Something worth noting on this page, you'll confirm the number. It will display the 3 last digits of your number as is on iTax. So if you see that you can't access the number, it's advised that you report this to any career office so that they can facilitate you to change the number. But if the number is the same one you can access, then you can create a password, then you sign up. Once you've done the sign up, you'll be required to upload there are two documents that you'll be required to upload to the system, whereby you'll be required to upload the director's ID and a commitment form that you'll fill. There's a commitment form that the director is to fill, and the director's ID that's on iTax. We are also advised to confirm, just in case you're in business and you had changed the directors, we are required to change the directors on iTax too, so that when you're doing this process, the ID you'll be attaching is for the current director that you can access at the moment. Then once you attach them and upload them, the service will be approved from our offices, and then you're able now to generate your invoices. So that's a very short recap on how the system works. And just as I've told you, you can log in on any browser. You click on eTIMS Taxpayers Portal, you log in, you do the service request, and then once you do the service request, if yours is for services, once it's approved, you log out and log back in, and you're able to generate invoices. But if yours is the one for e-client that you need to download the software on the laptop or any device that you'll be using, then you'll go to our website. You'll click on kra.go.ke, www.kra.go.ke. Then it will take you to our website. You'll click on the eTIMS icon, which will be at the bottom of your screen. And once you click on it, it will take you to an eTIMS page, and you'll be able to download the software. So basically, that's the short process of how you can get onboarded on eTIMS.
To conduct business,
We have
then you can be able to see that
public
and you
notice
can
that
be able
was
to switch your account.
issued, whereby we were encouraging
Our
every
eTIMS Lite
person's in
solution, which is
business.
the
The
e-citizen
deadline
integration.
previously was in December.
So that
Then
specifically picks
after the
your
organization
KPIN.
had
But
stakeholder
if at
engagements
all
with
you
various people in business, they were requested to they requested for more time to be onboarded on eTIMS, and the time was extended to 31st March, whereby we require everybody in business, every individual or entity in business, to be generating eTIMS compliant invoices. So we encourage everyone in business, whether you have the VAT obligation or you don't have the VAT obligation, you're required to be onboarded on eTIMS so that you can be able to generate compliant invoices. I think that marks the end of our session. So maybe those who have questions, you can channel them via chat box so that we can handle any question that you may have. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ahmad, for that training. We are going to go over to the questions. And I wish to give a few people who have raised their hands. And then we are going to cross over to the chat box. I will be able to see. Let me just give a few people who had raised their hands. Before that, I want to confirm whether Mr. Bulinda is with us from DTD BTO. Mr. Bulinda? Mr. Bulinda, kindly raise your hand if you're with us so that you can be given the rights. Mm. Okay. The panelist? Okay. Uh-huh. I think we are going to first start with a few questions on the chat box, and then we are going to give a few people the chance to speak out and ask their questions. So Mercy is asking the input VAT that need to be claimed for the last 6 months. What will happen? Will there be room to claim them? Over to you, panelists.
Margaret, if you may repeat the question.
There's Mercy who is asking, what happens to the input VAT that needs to be claimed for the last 6 months? What will happen? Will there be room to claim?
Thank you, Mercy, for that question. I hope you can hear me. In terms of claiming and eTIMS, eTIMS is just a mode of invoicing, but we're not changing the rules or rather even the modes of filing and claiming of the input VAT. So yes, the claiming for input VAT still stands as it's stipulated in the TPA and VAT Act, that you can always claim your input VAT within the 6 months of filing your return and when the transaction was made. Thank you, and over to
Thank you, Velma. There is Amal who is asking, does the exemption on importation of services also include services rendered by shipping agents, for example, FOB, sea freight charges, basic ocean freight charges, detention charges, container repairs, marine cover, insurance, and charges billed by shipping agent but collected on behalf of the principal? Okay, Amal, I was waiting for you to ask the eTIMS related question, but I cannot see that. Then let me just move over to Andrew Jiro before Amal maybe gets to put clear on what the main question is. Is it possible to install eTIMS on separate devices for the same PIN? Velma, over to you.
Thank you, Margaret, for that question. And indeed, there is a question that keeps coming. And I need to give emphasis and just expound to taxpayers that the law still dictates that when you're having one PIN, it's limited to one device. However, if the same PIN has, like the same PIN, that is the trader has different branches, you're required to buy a different device for that the branch. By device, I mean if we installed on a laptop, you can buy a different device for the different branches, but it's limited to one PIN, one device. So how it works with the branches is after we have installed to the admin branch, that next desktop, laptop, or even your phone, we are going to install the same software on that separate device. However, we are going to use the same PIN. So the system will assign you a branch ID. So the admin branch will have a 00 as the a branch ID, and the second branch will have a 01. Probably if you have 4 branches, the third branch will have a 02, and the last branch will have a 03. So it's not possible to have different devices for the same PIN unless it's operating as a branch. Thank you, and back to you.
Okay, thank you, Velma. I believe Velma has touched on that issue of the branches. So Sheila, if you're not satisfied with what Velma has explained, maybe you can also seek for further clarification, because I see you had also requested for a related question. Okay, now let me go to the next question from Eugene. How do we invoice for mobile money transactions on Windows platform? Please note it's not included on eTIMS service list items. I don't know, iTax or eTIMS?
Margaret, that question is not clear. Maybe if the question the participant is still within the call, he can unmute. Raise your hand. We unmute you so that you can clarify the question for a better feedback.
Okay. Eugene, maybe we will unmute you later when we get to those who are asking the questions. Now, someone asks, why do invoices with clients PIN being why do invoices with clients PIN being rejected, even the ones for this month? If you scan them, they are on KRA portal. Again, what about invoices from previous months that are not recognized, yet 6 months hasn't elapsed? That's Bulinda or Grace?
Good morning. Good morning.
Yes, we can hear you, Grace.
We
Go
can't
ahead.
get you clearly. You are breaking. Yeah, but you can kindly repeat the question. You are breaking. We can't hear you clearly.
No, the question is, why are invoices with clients PIN being rejected, even the ones for this month? If they are scanned, they're okay on KRA portal. And again, what about invoices from previous months that are not recognized, yet 6 months has not elapsed?
Maybe if I can answer on that.
You can be a bit louder, Bulinda.
Yes.
Please.
Maybe if I can respond to that. The invoices from the past periods, which are within the
Kindly
6
try
months.
to be louder.
Can you hear me now?
If you could add your volume a bit more, it would be better, but we can hear you.
Am I audible?
Yes,
Now,
you are so good now.
the issue of claiming of input, taxpayers can still claim their purchases that they have bought in the last 6 months, as long as the input is not claimed in any of their previous returns, and it is eTIMS and TIMS generated, and the invoices have been transmitted to KRA by the suppliers. So as long as they are still within 6 months, that is one of the conditions. The second one is they have been transmitted by TIMS and eTIMS. They are eTIMS and TIMS generated, then they can be claimed. And as long as they have not claimed these purchases in any of the previous returns, they can claim them. So by the CSVs that we have provided, you'll notice that they are only relating to the period for which the taxpayer is filing the return for. So they can add any of the previous invoices that are not claimed, as long as they meet the required conditions for claiming of input in the VAT return. I think that is clear enough.
Okay, thank you, Bulinda. And I believe the next question can also go to your team. Willie is asking, will I be able to import CSV file when filing February 2024 returns, or will it be auto-populated for both sales and purchases?
Please repeat again. I think your audio was breaking at some point.
Okay, Willie is asking, will I be able to import CSV file while filing February 2024 returns, or will it be auto-populated for both sales and purchases?
Now, I don't know if the taxpayer asking the question has attended any of our trainings on auto-population. Basically, what is happening is, and I think there is a video on YouTube that he can refer to or she can refer to.
Basically, the design of the return is you will download a zipped folder that has the return template and the respective CSV files for each of the sections that are required on the return. What the taxpayer is required to do is to counter check the invoices that have been provided for the period for the sections that are available, depending on how they transacted for the period, and then they import these CSV files in the return template. So the line item record for sales or purchases, they don't come auto-populated in the return itself. They come as an attachment in a CSV folder that are required to be imported in the return. I think I've clarified on that. For additional information on how to do this, we have the step-by-step guide hosted on our KRA website. And also we have a video demonstration on YouTube illustrating on how to do the return itself.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Dan Muli is asking, what is the integration process for companies that process many transactions and have to use the virtual sales control unit process? Velma, over to you.
Thank you for that question. I would just like to expound on the VSCU and OSCU, that is the Virtual Sales Control Unit and the Online Sales Control Unit. The process to onboard either is the taxpayer must, first of all, be having a billing system set in place. Thereafter, you'll have to contact any of the approved third-party integrators already published within the KRA website. Currently, we are having 5. So what happens in this case is, after you've contacted either of the 5, they will have to come to your business premise, assess your billing system. Thereafter, they will guide you either if they will be able to integrate for you either the VSCU, that is the Virtual Sales Control Unit, or the Online Sales Control Unit. What happens, the difference between the two is the Virtual Sales Control Unit is for the traders who are dealing in bulk invoicing, and they can invoice when there's no network. Then later on, they can connect the billing system to internet to trigger transmission. Whereas the Online Sales Control Unit is for the traders who are doing the online business, and they must always be running on internet for them to be able to do the transactions. So the bottom line for integration is, first of all, set your billing system in place, contact any of the third-party approved integrators. They will come do analysis of your billing system, then the integration will be done. However, if you're interested to be either a self-integrator or a third-party integrator, you have to do testing with us. The specifications have already been published in our system, and we encourage all the taxpayers, you just visit our KRA system on the third-party integration, check on the requirements. If you feel you can do the testing with us to either be a self or a third-party integrator, feel free, come on board, do the testing with us, and you'll be approved for the same. Over to you, Margaret.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Velma, for that. KMQ account is asking, we have purchase invoices for February, which are eTIMS, but they're not appearing on the auto-populated return. We have used the invoice checker and it says the invoice is valid. Please note that in all occasions, we have provided the supplier with our PIN number and it has been captured on the invoice. Please advise. Over to you, panelists. Is it Belinda? Grace? Belinda or Velma?
It depends. Currently now we are experiencing these issues of the taxpayers have already transmitted the invoices, and when they scan, the details auto-populate. However, from our end, from the analysis we've received, because whenever these questions keep coming up, we normally request for the CSV, we do analysis from our back end. And one point which stands out is most of these invoices which were captured are normally from a type C device. That was the one which was integrated with their billing system. However, from the billing system, most of the suppliers have currently confirmed that it was not configured correctly. When the taxpayer scans the invoice, it gives the PIN of the purchaser, and that is the misconception we are having. So the taxpayer believed that when they provided their PIN, it was captured. But from the analysis, it's brought out that it was only captured from the billing system, but not on the team's device. So what we have encouraged the taxpayers is you have to go back to the trader, just inform them that indeed it was transmitted, but the PIN was captured from their billing system. That is why it's not being populated. However, this has been picked up, and the suppliers, we are having an engagement with the suppliers so that they can do a reconfiguration of the same to correct these anomalies. Back to you.
Okay, thank you, Velma. Amal is asking, taxpayers are still on the process of onboarding to eTIMS. So does this mean all expenses that are not eTIMS supported from January 24th to March 24th will be disallowed for tax purposes, or the period is considered as a grace period? Velma?
That is indeed a very good question. The feedback to this is we only gave a grace period to onboarding. We have not said that the deadline now means that those who shall have not onboarded by 31st of this month will be barred out. However, even from the public notice that was sent out, it clearly stated that this is a grace period. By that we mean we encourage the taxpayers to onboard gradually. However, all the invoices that were not captured, that is for non-VAT invoices, that were not captured on eTIMS, by the time you onboard eTIMS, you must capture them wholly on the eTIMS system. What we mean by this is we have given you grace period to continue trading without onboarding eTIMS. That is, if you've not onboarded as at now. However, by the time you onboard, you must key in or you must enter all the manual invoices that you are done outside eTIMS to eTIMS, so that by the end of the year, when the trader is claiming either using their IT2C return or the individual return filing, that is by the end of the next year, it shall have found when all these manual invoices had been captured within the eTIMS to enable them claim. Come next year, when I'm filing either of this return and this invoices had not passed through eTIMS, unfortunately, you will not be able to claim them. Back to you, Margaret.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for that clarification, Velma. I hope that is clear, Mr. Amal. Then Jared is asking, how do we download the invoices from eTIMS?
Jared, thank you.
I think we've lost you, Velma.
Velma, we can't hear you. Okay,
we
Rebecca Wairimu was also asking, how can I reset my username and password in eTIMS already? And she already has the app for eTIMS. Okay, so Rebecca Wairimu wants to know how she can reset her username and password in eTIMS, and she already has the app for eTIMS.
Thank you, Margaret and Rebecca. I'll respond to the questions. The first one was, how do I download the invoices from eTIMS? And the second one was, how do I reset my username or the password rather, if that was the case?
Yes.
So the first one on how to download the invoices from eTIMS, this depends on the solution you're using. However, within these solutions, by this I mean either you're using the simplified solution, that is USSD, or the EPOS, which is accessed from your eCitizen account online, or the eClient. After you have approved that invoice, the system retains the record. So when you log in, you just goes to the sales receipt. When you click on the sales receipt, you'll be able to see all the invoices and the transactions that have been transmitted to KRA. Then when you click on it, you don't approve the second time. You just click on it and download. You'll be able to view the invoice. On the second question where the taxpayer is inquiring, they've already set their user ID. However, for one reason or another, they forgot the password and the user ID. There's no need to worry. If it's eClient, that is a solution which was installed either on your desktop, laptop, or mobile phone, you just reach out to us. We will do a reset and a password will be sent to your mobile number. What you are required to do, you will be logging in the same way we had started. You log in through the user management module, key in the user ID which will be sent, plus the current password, that is a new password, and click on logging in. When you log in, it will take you to a different interface where you'll see waiting for approval. And on your top right, it's on a black banner, it's written user. Click that user. When you click on it, you'll be able to see the user you had previously created. All you need to do, click on that user you had previously created, then the password will populate, though you will not be able to see it. You can be able to edit the password, input a different one now, the one you will be able to remember. And if you like, you can also change the user ID and save. And that's it. For the online platform, you're able to reset the password by yourself. You just log in through etims.kra.go.ke, key in your PIN number, click on reset. You'll be required to key in your mobile number, then you click on OK. A password will be sent to your mobile number. However, eTIMS Operations Office is currently working on an enhancement to enable the eClient users to be able to reset their password for themselves, to enable them change even their user ID. Thank you, and back to you.
Okay, thank you, Velma. I want to read two more questions and then we are going to go to those who are raising their hands. We take a few more questions before we wrap up. Stella wants to know, the CSVs on the auto-populated returns do not belong to our company. What should I do? Mr. Bulinda or Velma?
I think on this, Margaret, what I would advise is this.
Kindly be a bit louder.
I hope I'm audible enough.
Yes, now you are.
Now, my response to this is the taxpayer can visit any of our offices. They log in together with any of our officers and we counter check that actually the invoices being downloaded are not for the taxpayer. Because again, we have had cases where some taxpayers have been working on multiple companies and they tend to interchange the files. As it is, the configuration of the auto population as it is, it can only download the invoices and relating to sales and purchases that belong to the logged in PIN. The way the system is designed, the logged in PIN cannot download invoices that are not relating to it. And it cannot fetch purchase invoices that have not been issued in favor of the PIN that is logged in and is filing the VAT auto-populated return. So if it is a case that the taxpayer feels they have been given invoices or purchases that are not belonging to them, they can visit our office when they have the credentials to log in, so that it can be analyzed at that point. We cannot have a conclusive answer in this forum unless we have a view of what the taxpayer is downloading and contesting.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Belinda, for that clarification. There is a question here. There is a taxpayer who wants to know the process of generating invoices. Velma, can you briefly assist this taxpayer?
Thanks again, Margaret, for that question. For invoicing depends again on the solution you have requested for and been approved for. The easiest one is the USSD, where you dial *222#. You go to option 5, where you are going to do the registration. You'll be required to key in your ID, the date of birth, after which it will pull out your details as registered from NRB and iTax. Then you'll get a notification that you have successfully registered for invoicing. After which you'll again dial *222# now when you want to generate your invoice through the USSD. Go to option 5, that is invoicing, carry payments. Then you'll go to option 2, if I'm not wrong. You're going to see eTIMS payments. Thereafter, it will request you for the taxpayer's PIN number if they want to claim any expense or any input on the same. Then that's it for this USSD. So USSD is the simplest solution we have had currently in place for non-VAT traders. And I repeat, USSD is only limited to non-VAT traders, individual PINs. So if you're an individual trader, you are not registered for VAT, you can invoice using USSD. Another simplified solution limited to the EPOS, accessed through your eCitizen account. You'll have to log in through your eCitizen account, key in your details, you go to invoicing, key in the details of the trader, that is the PIN, you add the service you're rendering, then you click on send. Upon that, on your top right, you'll see invoice successfully created. When you click on download, you're able to view. So for USSD and EPOS, it takes a maximum of 5 minutes to generate an invoice. Back to the other ones, that is the online. If you're registered for the online, you'll have to log in using your PIN and the password you had created when you're signing up. You'll go to management, you'll go to item management. On that item management, you go to the second tab, which is create an invoice. On that creating an invoice, you'll have to select on the drop down the codes of the services you want to render. You'll be required to register the item before you register the taxpayer you are supposed to invoice for. Add the items, and after you've saved, you generate the invoice. However, KRA has simplified this process by uploading a user manual on our YouTube channel. When you just log into the YouTube and you click on eTIMS invoicing process, we have an how-to videos on the same. It's a very simplified solution, very simplified processes on to generating the invoice. But if you feel these are not very helpful, we also encourage you to visit any of the KRA offices. There are officers ready to help on you to generate the invoices. Thank you, and back to you, Margaret.
Thank you, Velma, for that very well-stated process that you have explained to us. I am going to take one question from Zipporah, who is logged in from the KRA TV YouTube platform. She is saying, my sales CSV does not include credit notes. Kindly advise considering the sales are overstated. Mr. Bulinda or Velma?
Question is about I'm getting
Zipporah.
CSV files.
Zipporah is saying, yeah, she's saying the sales CSV does not include credit notes. Kindly advise considering that the sales are overstated.
And again, this I will respond with a question back. When were the credit notes issued by Stora? Because again, if it is a sale that is relating to February, but the credit note was issued in March, you will only find that
Kindly be a
credit
bit
note
louder,
in the
Bulinda.
I'm saying I will respond this with a question back to the taxpayer who is Zipporah. And the question in this regard is, when were the credit notes for these invoices issued? If they were issued in a period after February 2024, then they will not be available in the February 2024 period. They will only be available in the March return when they'll be filing the March return. So the credit notes are populated in the period in which they have been issued. So if it is an invoice that is relating to February with a credit note that has not been issued in February, they will not be able to find this in their auto-populated return for February, but only for March. I hope it is.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for that clarification. And just for purposes of information, for those who may be interested to learn more, the process that Velma has explained, we have posted a link below under the question and answer. You can see a link by KRA TV that will take you to the YouTube platform where that process has been captured. Thank you. So let me give one or two people who have raised their hands before we wrap up this session. Mary, kindly unmute Mary. Mary, you can ask your question. You have been unmuted. I will take a question from Mary and then Douglas. Mary, you're unmuted. Okay, if Mary is not ready, we can have Douglas. Okay, Douglas, you can unmute on your end. Mary? Okay, if they are not ready, then we are going to give Evans a chance. Evans, you can ask your question. Mary, have you managed to unmute on your end?
Hello, hello.
Hello, yes, Evans.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, my question is, we have purchases that we purchased from December and January, and
Yes.
they did not populate on our side. So when we put them manually and we try to upload our returns, they were rejected. Hello, are we together?
Oh, yes, yes, Evans.
Yeah, you heard me?
Yes, that's the end of your question.
Yeah, that's the end of my question.
Okay. Any of our panelists who wants to address his question?
Margaret, was there a question asked? I didn't hear the taxpayer speaking.
He's probably saying that his invoices did not populate. Oh,
Or
purchases.
the invoices for sales or for purchases?
For purchases, December
Purchases.
and January.
Now, there are two scenarios where an invoice for purchase cannot be traced in the CSVs provided on your VAT auto-populated return. One of them is if you had not offered your PIN at the point of purchase, and again, you will not be able to find this invoice in your list of purchases to claim for the period. As long as it is, as much as it is a valid invoice when you go to the checker to confirm, if your PIN is missing, then you cannot be able to claim.
We offer
Because the purchase that you made to the seller, it is treated as a B2C transaction, and therefore it is not intended to be claimed by any of the VAT registered taxpayers in the VAT ecosystem. And the second scenario is where the invoice that you are trying to claim has not been transmitted by the supplier. So if you check on the checker, you'll find that the invoice, if you try to check its validity, you are receiving an invalid error that it is not a valid invoice. So for the cases where it's valid and you cannot find it in your list of purchases, most likely the supplier did not capture your PIN at the point of issuing the invoice, and therefore you cannot find it in your list of purchases as the buyer. And again, we've had instances where some suppliers are capturing the PIN in fields that are not required. An example being there is a field that is for narration or for contacts, and the supplier is capturing PIN in the contacts field instead of the PIN in the buyer's PIN field that is required. So if again they capture it in the wrong field, when they are transmitting the invoices, it might not come to KRA for claiming purposes. So, and it translates to it now being missing in your list of purchases when you're trying to claim. I think that clarifies the concerns. Over to you, Margaret.
Thank you, Belinda. We are going to give Hussein a chance to ask his question. Hussein, maybe you can you can unmute yourself and be able to ask your question before we wrap up this session. Hussein, could you be a bit audible? We cannot hear you clearly.
How about now?
Yes.
Now you
you're
can hear
good.
me. Thank you. Sorry,
Yes.
in advance, please forgive me for my ignorance in the whole issue of eTIMS. My question is, just recently, we were forced to, I had an ETR machine from before, back in 2008. But then we were forced to change to the new ETR machines because I was told mine was too old, just some time back. Now, my question is, does this mean that we have to file the normal, we have to issue out invoices the normal way with the ETR machines and then still register for eTIMS and do it via eTIMS? That's the question.
Thank you, Hussein, and apologies if you felt the taxpayers were being coerced into doing the changeover. However, I also need to appreciate you on behalf of the department, that is the eTIMS Operations Office, for being for complying, in the sense that you heed the call for changing from the old ETR to TIMS. The misconception that I would want to clarify on this call is that as long as you own TIMS devices, and the TIMS device is able currently to perform the three functionalities, that is generate, transmit, and sign the invoice, you are not mandated to do the changeover. You can still use the TIMS device as is because it's still performing the three key functionalities. So That misconception that is going around, but I don't know why taxpayers fears KRA. Whenever KRA comes up with a new product, they feel that now the in thing is what KRA expects everyone to onboard. So I would like to clarify that as long as you are having the Teams device, you are not expected to onboard eTIMS unless that device is not functional or that device is not able to perform the 3 key functionality that I've just mentioned earlier. So continue using your device as is until an administrative guidance is given on the same. Thank you, and back to you, Margaret.
Hey, thank you. Thank you, Velma, for that clarification. Now, I wish to wrap up this session. I know we have so many questions we cannot exhaust today, but we will have many more sessions touching on eTIMS. For those asking about VAT, auto-populated, filing, we have that on our KRA TV YouTube platform. We have a video that you can follow through and get to see the step-by-step process, which you can do as you file your returns. At this juncture, I wish to request our very able panelists, if you can kindly just go over to the chat box and maybe see which questions have not been touched on, and you can type the answers to our taxpayers, our dear taxpayers, so that we cover as much questions as possible. We will really appreciate. At this juncture, I want to conclude our session on this end. Thank you so much for taking time to log in. We are still going to have more trainings. Kindly note that we have so many materials on our KRA website, which touch on eTIMS. You can also go over to KRA TV platform that is on YouTube, and you'll be able to see various trainings, and you are able to have your questions answered if it has not been covered in this session. You can also send an email to teamsupport@kra.go.ke if you have a challenging issue with your Teams or eTIMS devices, and we are going to address your concerns. Thank you so much, our sign language interpreter, Faith, for taking us through this session and ensuring that everyone is able to follow through, even those who are not able to hear. I want to wish everyone a good day ahead. And from Tax Education, that is it from our Tax Thursday. Thank you.